Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are today's headlines. Centre seeks to break Parliament impasse over demonetization. Rajnath Singh to meet all party floor leaders. Opposition to launch nationwide Akrosh Divas on November 28th. Prime Minister says historic response to his survey over currency ban. 93% respondents support the move. Opposition calls survey manufactured. India and Pakistan DGMO speak over border firings. India raises issue of mutilation of soldiers' body. Asks Pakistan to exercise strict control over its troops. India also summons Pakistan's Deputy High Commissioner. And first ever Indian American appointed to cabinet level post in any US administration. Nikki Haley named US envoy to the United Nations by President-elect Donald Trump. Well, in an attempt to break the impasse in Parliament over demonetization, Home Minister Rajnath Singh will hold a meeting of all party floor leaders shortly. Demonetization issue has rocked Parliament since the session began on the 16th of November. The meeting comes after the Home Minister, Finance Minister and the Parliamentary Affairs Minister held discussions with opposition leaders on Wednesday to find out a way. Now, the opposition is adamant on its demand for the Prime Minister's presence on the floor of the House and also at JPC. The government says it is willing to discuss all issues but has said that the prerogative to respond lies with the Prime Minister. The debate on demonetization will continue in the Rajya Sabha today. On Wednesday, the stalemate between the government and the opposition over the issue continued. The opposition insisted on the Prime Minister's presence while the government pressed for an immediate discussion. The impasse washed away proceedings of the House for the fifth day in a row.
Let the Prime Minister come.
The impasse over demonetization continued on Wednesday as the opposition tried to mount pressure on the government in the upper house. Amid the demand for the Prime Minister's presence during discussion, members also sought compensation for the families of persons who allegedly lost their lives due to demonetization.
आपके माध्यम से सरकार से विनती करना चाहता हूं। Saraji, let me complete this. आप कहते हैं देश के लिए ये let me complete this. देश के लिए ये में खड़े हैं इनकी Saraji, let me complete this. उनके लिए कंपनसेशन क्यों नहीं दे रहे?
75 से ज्यादा लोग मर चुके हैं। हालात बहुत ज्यादा खराब हैं, अति गंभीर है, संवेदनशील है। हम आपका संरक्षण चाहते हैं। आप प्रधानमंत्री जी को बुलाएं, वो हमारी बात को सुने और जो लोगों के सामने समस्याएं उत्पन्न हो रही हैं उसका जवाब दें।
ऐसा नियम नहीं है। ऐसा नहीं है, मैं क्या करूं? लेकिन जब प्रधानमंत्री सामूहिक जिम्मेदारी को हटाते हुए किसी मंत्री को कॉन्फिडेंस में न ले, यहाँ की फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर को भी ऐसा निर्णय लेने में कॉन्फिडेंस में न ले, तब इस चेयर की जिम्मेदारी होती है कि सदन का रेजोल्यूशन करके वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर को कॉल करे या किसी मिनिस्टर को कॉल करे। आप सदन की राय ले लीजिए।
One day was over. Start the discussion. But the Prime Minister did not come. Thursday is the day of the Prime Minister. Thursday is the day of the Prime Minister in Rajya Sabha.
The opposition Congress also questioned the constitutional validity of the demonetization decision.
No power is a violation of law. They cannot, even in case of a financial emergency, the government has neither the authority nor the power to deny people access to their money.
The government, however, slammed the opposition parties for derailing the legislative business of the House and insisted on a discussion.
सुचारू रूप से चले और सदन जो है वो चर्चा के लिए, डिबेट के लिए, डिस्कशन के लिए। अगर हम डिबेट डिस्कशन से भाग रहे हैं तो उसका मैसेज ये जा रहा है देश में कि हम डिबेट नहीं चाहते, इस पे डिस्कशन नहीं चाहते।
The chair urged the protesting members to resume the discussion on the topic.
Please. No, I have to ask only one question. First, how do you presume and why do you presume that PM will not come? You start the discussion.
Amid the war of words, opposition members trooped into the well of the House, demanding the Prime Minister's presence. Ruling party members also resorted to sloganeering by moving to the aisles. Despite the adjournments with no visible respite, the chair adjourned the House till Thursday. With inputs from Vishal Dhaya and Panchanan Mishra, Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, 6 left parties will begin their week-long nationwide agitation against demonetization today. The opposition parties stepped up resistance against government on demonetization by holding a massive protest in the Parliament complex on Wednesday. The opposition pressed for Prime Minister's statement in the House while demanding a GPC on alleged selective leakage of information on demonetization.
Opposition MPs forming a human chain at the Gandhi statue in Parliament complex to register their protest against the decision to scrap high-value currency notes. The opposition parties claim the demonetization drive was ill-equipped and has led to the loss of several lives. Seeking to corner the government, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi called the demonetization as the world's biggest impromptu financial experiment.
जो प्रधानमंत्री ने किया है, ये दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा इम्प्रॉम्प्टू फाइनेंशियल एक्सपेरिमेंट है। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने इसके बारे में किसी से पूछा नहीं। कहा जा रहा है कि फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर को नहीं मालूम था, चीफ इकोनॉमिक एडवाइजर को नहीं मालूम था। ये डिसीजन फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर का नहीं है, ये प्रधानमंत्री का डिसीजन है और इस डिसीजन के कारण करोड़ों लोगों को जबरदस्त नुकसान हुआ है।
It was a rare sight of unanimity as extreme political rivals like the TMC and the left, the SP and the BSP, DMK and the AIA-DMK joined ranks against the centre.
I think the government and the Prime Minister are abdicating their responsibility under the Indian Constitution. They are in fact negating the very oath that the Prime Minister has taken to become the Prime Minister. What does that oath mean? That the government of the day, and as the head of the government, he is answerable to the Parliament. The parliamentarians are answerable to the people. That is the meaning of we the people in our Constitution.
पूरे देश के अंदर जो गरीब लोग हैं, मेहनत कश लोग हैं, मध्यम वर्गीय लोग हैं और किसान भी, ये सब लोग बड़े पैमाने पर दुखी हैं क्योंकि केंद्र की सरकार ने बिना पूरी तैयारी के जल्दबाजी में जो नोटबंदी का फैसला लिया है, मैं समझती हूँ ये इनका फैसला बिल्कुल गलत है।
प्रधानमंत्री जी पूर्ण रूप से जिम्मेदार हैं। अगर प्रधानमंत्री जी अपनी कैबिनेट को बिना कॉन्फिडेंस में लिए इतना बड़ा निर्णय ले सकते हैं, तो हम उनके कैबिनेट के किसी मंत्री पर कैसे विश्वास कर लें कि पार्लियामेंट को सही जवाब देगा।
Whenever there is an important issue discussed, we have seen in the past that the Prime Ministers used to come. They even allowed the members to interrupt. They have intervened and they have replied. But whereas now the country is in a crisis, financial crisis almost. I think when the first of the next month comes, I think the government itself will not be able to have money to give the salary to its own employees, even the security forces.
The government lashed out at the opposition for derailing the agenda of winter session of Parliament. The opposition, however, alleged that Prime Minister's silence over demonetization in Parliament was causing obstruction.
The wide discussion did not take place in Lok Sabha at all, number one. Number two, the discussion took place in Rajya Sabha only for one day. Why? Because the reason they are giving is Prime Minister is not there to listen to their discussion, to their viewpoint. Is Prime Minister not listening to them on television as well?
इस तरह का कदम बिना किसी तैयारी के इतना बड़ा कदम उठाया तो वही हालत हो गई नीम हकीम खतरे जान वाली जो उनको जानलेवा साबित हो गया ना।
We have found almost every political party worth its presence or worth its name in the houses. We had AIA-DMK as also DMK. We had CPIM as also TMC, the parties which are otherwise at loggerheads. So they all have come under one flag, one banner, only to fight this disastrous consequence on poor people. Now the presence of Prime Minister is required for genuine reason.
The opposition parties have now decided to launch a nationwide Akrosh Divas on 28th of November. Wednesday's protests inside and outside Parliament indicate that the opposition is determined to be relentless in mounting pressure on the government over the demonetization issue. This is Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that there has been a historic response to the survey he initiated over the government's currency ban move. 24 hours after the survey was launched, the Prime Minister said 93% of the respondents have backed the government. The opposition called the survey manufactured.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanking people for a historic participation in his survey on demonetization. Tweeting the results of the survey that said 93% of the 5 lakh people who participated in the last 24 hours have supported the move, the PM said the response has been unprecedented. The Prime Minister had sought the people's response over the government's move following sustained opposition criticism over its implementation and its intent.
मोदी जी कि आपको नोटबंदी के फैसले से पहले इस देश के लोगों की राय लेनी चाहिए थी। राय ही लेनी थी तो डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी और कांग्रेस पार्टी की लेते, जिन्होंने 2005 से पहले के सारे नोट बंद करके नोटबंदी लागू की, पर किसी व्यक्ति को दर्द नहीं हुआ और 3,16,000 करोड़ रुपया जो करेंसी में शायद ब्लैक मनी था वो ख़त्म हो गया। राय लेनी थी तो आप सारे विशेषज्ञों को बुलाकर नोटबंदी के फैसले से पहले लेते, पहले सफिशिएंट नोट छपवाते, तैयारी करते, एटीएम्स को प्रॉपरली अपग्रेड करते, फिर राय लेते। आज राय लेना पहले जख्म दो और फिर उस पर मरहम लगाने की बजाय मिर्च लगाओ, इस प्रकार का काम मोदी जी कर रहे हैं।
कितने परसेंट लोग ऐप जानते हैं देश में? 90% से गांव में रहने वाली जनता को अभी ऐप नहीं मालूम है। हमसे कह दो हम ऐप नहीं मालूम है, हमसे कह दो तुम एटीएम या पेटीएम के माध्यम से खरीद कर लो, हम नहीं कर सकते। तो पता नहीं क्या है।
This app survey, etc., is absolutely inconsequential, misleading, and absolutely uncalled for.
In a write-up by the PM, which he shared on his Twitter account, he said that as high as 86% of the people believe that some so-called anti-corruption activists are now actually batting in support of black money, corruption, and even terrorist financing. Opposition parties have questioned the credibility of the survey, calling it manufactured. The Congress stating the questions were rhetorical in nature, leaving no room to disagree. The Prime Minister had put up a survey of 10 questions on the government's move to demonetize high-value currency on the Narendra Modi app on Tuesday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And even as the opposition to the move continues, the government has said that it will not roll back demonetization under any situation. The government's resolve came on the back of a slew of measures being announced to make matters easier for the common man.
The government announced a slew of measures on Wednesday outlining steps to ease problems being faced by the common man owing to demonetization. The National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development NABARD has sanctioned an additional 21,000 crore rupees to the district central cooperative banks. This has been done to help small-scale farmers who go to cooperative banks.
Out of the total credit that flows from institutional sources, more than 40% of the requirement of small and marginal farmers is from the cooperative credit structure. So therefore, the sanction of 21,000 crore limit by NABARD to the district central cooperative banks will enable the district central cooperative banks to pass on, to sort of grant funds, to sort of pass on these funds to the primary agricultural cooperative societies, and the primary agricultural cooperative societies network, the PACS network, will get activated.
Among other measures, Railways has lifted the service charges on the online booking of tickets till December 31st, 2016. 82,000 ATMs have already been recalibrated for dispensing the new currency notes, and the rest would follow soon. There will also be no transaction charges on debit cards till December 31st this year.
The intention of this decision and the intention behind this gesture which has been made by the banks is to ensure greater penetration of digital transactions into our economy and to ensure that more and more people migrate towards digital transactions. And I take this opportunity to appreciate the gesture of the public sector banks and some of the private sector banks who have already agreed.
The government believes these measures will encourage people to move towards digital payments. Claiming that the scheme has received a positive response so far, the government categorically stated on Wednesday there will be no rollback of demonetization under any circumstance.
इस देश में गरीब लोग मोदी जी के साथ हैं, इस देश में किसान लोग मोदी जी के साथ हैं, इस देश में गांव वाले मोदी जी के साथ हैं। बहुमत हमारे पास है, निर्णय सरकार ने गरीब लोगों के हित में लिया है। केजरीवाल ममता बनर्जी कह रहे हैं इसको वापस ले वापस लेना मोदी जी के खून में नहीं है जी, कभी भी वापस नहीं लेंगे।
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court refused to stay proceedings in cases filed in high courts and lower courts against demonetization. The apex court has also allowed cash-starved cooperative banks to approach their respective high courts. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, on Wednesday approved opening of one Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya in each of the 62 uncovered districts. The outlay for the program is 2,871 crore rupees, and the expenditure for this purpose during the 12th five-year plan will be 109 crore rupees. These Navodaya Vidyalayas are aimed at providing quality education to the talented children, mainly from rural areas. The move is expected to benefit nearly 35,000 students. At present, there are 598 such sanctioned schools in 576 districts spread across the country. The Union Cabinet also approved a new merchant shipping bill for introducing it in the Parliament. The bill is aimed at promoting ease of doing business, transparency and effective delivery of services. The Merchant Shipping Bill 2016 is a revamped version of the Merchant Shipping Act of 1958, which had become a complex legislation after undergoing several amendments. Provisions of the new bill will simplify the law governing merchant shipping in India. The diversion of State Highway 149 passing through naval land at Kakinada was also approved by the Cabinet. The project will involve taking over of 11.25 acres of land of the Andhra Pradesh government. The move is meant to ensure the safety and security of Amphibious Warfare Training Centre along with related infrastructure. Well, apart from these decisions, the Cabinet also approved the ratification and entry into force of the third protocol to the convention between India and New Zealand. The protocol will stimulate the flow of exchange of information between India and New Zealand for tax purposes, which will help curb tax evasion and tax avoidance. Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Gyan Chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue, symbolized by the ladders, rewarded, while the vices shown by the snakes are punished. Each square, in turn, also narrates some message of wisdom.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, Director General of Military Operations, Lieutenant General Ranbir Singh, spoke to his Pakistani counterpart last evening and raised the issue of infiltration attempts by terrorists from Pakistan's side in Jammu and Kashmir. A statement issued by the Indian DGMO's office said that he also expressed concern over the unethical act of mutilation of the body of an Indian soldier close to the line of control by terrorists infiltrating from Pakistan. He asked Pakistani DGMO to exercise strict control on their troops to refrain from any nefarious activities. Lieutenant General Singh categorically told his counterpart that if any ceasefire violations were initiated by Pakistani troops or any infiltration attempt was made by terrorists from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir or territory under its control, it would be responded to by the Indian Army appropriately. The development came a day after 3 Indian soldiers were martyred, with body of one of them being mutilated in a cross-LOC attack. Pakistan's DGMO informed about civilian casualties on his side caused by Indian firing at the line of control. Lieutenant General Singh expressed grief at civilian casualties. Meanwhile, India also summoned Pakistani Deputy High Commissioner in Delhi yesterday and lodged strong protests over ceasefire violations as well as the mutilation of the soldier's body. Pakistani Deputy High Commissioner Syed Haider Shah was summoned by the MEA. India's strong reaction to continued ceasefire violations and mutilation of bodies of its soldiers was conveyed. Well, the Indian Army on Wednesday launched a massive fire assault on Pakistan along the line of control a day after it killed 3 soldiers, including mutilating the body of one of them in Jammu and Kashmir. Meanwhile, firing between India and Pakistan continues along the line of control in Poonch, Rajouri, Kale and Machil sectors. 3 army jawans have been injured in the shelling.
The Indian Army on Wednesday launched a counter-offensive against Pakistan along the line of control a day after a soldier was mutilated and 2 soldiers killed in Machil sector of Jammu and Kashmir. The assaults came hours after the army vowed heavy retribution for the brutal act. Pakistan, however, rejected the claims, calling them false and baseless.
अपनी सेना पर पूरा विश्वास रखिए, भरोसा रखिए, इतना ही कहूँगा।
काफ़ी गतिविधि इसलिए है कि पाकिस्तान बौखलाए हुए हैं, तो वहाँ से जितना भी पाकिस्तान साइड से सीज फायर वायलेशन होता है, उसका बड़ी जोरदार से हमारा बीएसएफ और भारतीय सेना के जवानों ने जवाब दिया है और दे रहे हैं।
Pakistani troops continue to shell Indian positions in Rajouri district. They also fired at Indian posts along the line of control in Bimbergali, Krishna Ghati and Naushera sectors. 2 BSF jawans were injured. Meanwhile, Pakistan claimed 3 of its soldiers were killed in firing by India. They also said 4 of their people were killed and 7 injured in an attack near the line of control by Indian troops.
फायरिंग आ रही है पाकिस्तान की तरफ से। हम लोग तो सब गांव छोड़ के बाहर भागे हुए हैं, जंगल के अंदर रह रहे हैं, पहाड़ी के अंदर छुपे हुए हैं। बहुत खतरनाक फायर आ रहा है पाकिस्तान की तरफ से। हमारी इंडियन आर्मी मुंह तोड़ जवाब दे रही है उसका। हम अंदर छुप के रह गए तो फायर बहुत सख्त जोर से हो रहा था। हमारे घरों के पास भी बहुत आए नीचे, तो अब भी हम छुपे हुए हैं क्योंकि हमें खतरा है कि कभी किसी वक्त भी कहीं भी गोला पड़ सकता है। आप आवाज तो सुन रहे हैं कितने तेजी से चल रहा है फायर।
More than 100 schools in the Mendhar sector have been closed due to tension along the line of control. The shutting of schools came as Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti chaired the 3rd meeting of the State Higher Education Council in Jammu on Wednesday. Meanwhile, normal life remained affected in the valley due to a strike called by the separatists. Shops, petrol pumps and other business establishments across Kashmir were shut while public transport was off the roads in most areas. Kashmir has been witnessing shutdown for the last 138 days. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the NIA has asked banks to freeze accounts belonging to controversial preacher Zakir Naik, his family members and his Islamic Research Foundation, which has been banned under the anti-terror law. Sources said that all the banks where Naik's and his organization's accounts were in operation have been asked to immediately freeze those till further directions. NIA has cited Section 43 of the Unlawful Activities Act of executing such action. The agency has also registered a case against Naik, IRF and unnamed office bearers of the foundation under Section 153A of the Indian Penal Code, besides various sections of the Anti-Terror Law Unlawful Activities Act. The move to block his bank accounts was taken after the NIA claimed to have seized documents which showed ISIS recruit Abu Anas had received 80,000 rupees from the IRF as scholarship in October 2015. Meanwhile, sources said that NIA has also written to the Home Ministry for banning the website run by the IRF and as well as suspending its online activities, which includes videos of speeches on social networking sites. Punjab Congress Chief Amrinder Singh on Wednesday announced that former BJP leader Navjot Singh Sidhu's wife Navjot Kaur Sidhu and Awaz-e-Punjab leader Pargat Singh will join the Congress on November 28th. Welcoming their decision, Amrinder Singh said that with the joining of like-minded people, the party will further be strengthened ahead of the Punjab Assembly elections. Now, Amrinder Singh said that Navjot Kaur and Pargat Singh earlier met the Congress High Command to seal the deal. Sources said that the two met Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi and decided to join the party fold. The two later met Amrinder Singh at his residence and discussed the formalities of their joining. Here's a look at what else is making news across the country and nationwide. The National Green Tribunal has directed an environment audit of all the government buildings, including offices, schools and hospitals in Delhi. This also includes collection and dispensation of solid waste, indoor air quality system and sewage system. The NGT took this decision to control pollution so that public health is not adversely affected. The tribunal also said that the right to clean environment is a fundamental right and every citizen has a right to a decent environment. Well, 6 Naxals were killed on Wednesday and over 600 bullets and a dozen IEDs recovered after a gun battle with CRPF commandos in the jungles of Jharkhand's Maoist hotbed of Latehar district. The encounter started when the squad received fire from the Maoist side. The gun battle continued for some time, after which the bodies of the Naxals wearing black uniforms was recovered. The centre removed Delhi government's Chief Secretary Keval Kumar Sharma and appointed him as Secretary in the Department of Higher Education in Union HRD Ministry. The Appointments Committee of the Cabinet led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi has approved the appointment on Wednesday. The move is likely to start a fresh tug-of-war between the Arvind Kejriwal government and the Narendra Modi dispensation. Moving on to some international news now, US President-elect Donald Trump has picked South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley as the next US ambassador to the UN. United Nations welcomed the move and called it as a good sign for the future. Nikki Haley is the first Indian American to be appointed in a cabinet-level position in any US administration. Haley is a daughter of Indian immigrants and has served as North Carolina's first female and first minority governor. The choice of Haley may be aimed at countering criticism of Trump's divisive comments about immigrants and minorities. Haley said she had accepted Trump's offer and would remain governor pending her confirmation to the cabinet-level post by the US Senate. The 44-year-old has been characterized as a rising star within the Republican Party.
We are aware of the naming of Nikki Haley, and it's someone with whom officials here are acquainted in terms of being aware of her position on many issues, including the laudable comments she made following the horrifying racist shootings in Charleston, South Carolina. Having said that, the only basic comment we have is that it's heartening to see an effort to get the position of the permanent representative to the United Nations filled as quickly, or named at least as quickly as this. So that's a good sign for the future.
In some more international news now, Iraqi forces battling the Islamic State group in northern Iraq cut off the jihadists' last supply line from Mosul to Syria on Wednesday. The development marks the entry of the Iraqi-led forces after they launched the operation more than a month ago to seize control of the key city from ISIS militants. The development will make it very long and dangerous for ISIS to move fighters and equipment between Mosul and the Syrian city of Raqqa. The ISIS had been able to send resources including fighters, suicide squads and explosives to Mosul through this route. It was also used as an escape route for senior ISIS members and their families.
هذا نقطة الذروة في العمليات لحد هذه اللحظة. هو هدفنا هو قطع الطريق كاملا وحصر الموصل من الجانب الغربي. انحصرت الآن بشكل كامل، ما عندها أي ارتباط وأي خطوط إمداد الآن إلى.
Well, that's it on this edition of the Bulletin. Thank you for watching.